What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter, with your host, as usual, Olin, aka MMAnomaly. And to my left here, it's my left, but it's your right, is Jive Turkey Nano, the usual mainstay here, co-host. How we doing, Nano?
Good, brother. We back. Guess who's back? Back again.
Turkey
is back. Tell your friends.
So with that being said, Turkey's back for a reason. We started the first game, the first leg of Bet versus Bet last week. It was one for the books. It was really good. We both actually hit on some of our bets there. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and announce the winner of that. There he is. All right. So Nano obviously got the win. Great job, Nano. I tip my hat to you. Just in case anybody's wondering the specifics of how it went last week, let's go ahead and take a look at that. It was 6.4 units. I won 5.6. And Nano, as you can see, won 4.9 off of 5. So less bet, more won, better ratios there. And we live to bet another day. Not too bad. Not a huge hit on the bank accounts there.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
We're going to go ahead and jump into the fights this week. In this episode, we're going to be going over UFC Charlotte. It is a sneaky good card, in my honest opinion.
It's a fun one.
It's a very fun card. I personally am pretty stoked about it. I think it's going to be a really, really good one. Like I said, sneaky good card. So we'll go ahead and get some background music going here for the folks, set the mood, and we will go ahead and jump right into it. We'll go ahead and lead off with the main event here. I'm going to let Nano set the tone. Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus the man, the myth, the legend, the giant killer, Jailton Almeida.
Yes, here we go. We got some big boys swinging and banging today. I love when heavyweights are leading off the main card. You know, it's going to be fireworks. May not be long. We'll have to find out. But if you are a listener to this channel, you will know how we feel about our boy, Jailton Almeida, right? The dude is a perfect embodiment of the new age heavyweight fighter, in my opinion. He's roughly 6'4", a lean 230 pounds, very explosive, very good everywhere. Not a lot of holes in the man's game, and the dude's been skyrocketing ever since he's made the jump here. Not only does he put guys away, right? We need to factor that in. They're heavyweights. I know that tends to happen a lot, but the man has 18 wins, 11 submissions, and 7 KOs. The dude's ground game is different. I think that's going to really be the differentiator here in this fight. It kind of reminds me of that Dagestani style smothering, the wrestling, the way he really just uses all of that bit of weight and strength and all of his body against you. Just wears you out, gives you the old anaconda squeeze, as Nacho Libre would say. A couple, things that stood out to me and just looking at styles, or at least some of the numbers here. Almeida is landing 2 more significant strikes per minute. He's 20% more accurate, and he has 6 takedowns a fight with 2 submission attempts to Rozenstruik's 0 in both of those last 2 categories. Seems like it's, again, kind of one of those situations where it's, the old bull versus the young calf, right? Kind of the old age, one-dimensional heavyweight fighter. Rozenstruik, I mean, a staple in the division. He's 35 years old. Dude's got a lot of tread on his tires. I hate using the word gatekeeper, but to be honest, he's been passed up by a lot of the top-level competition in this division. And what I've seen is, him not do well against power punchers. So on that 2-second Ngannou fight, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I ultimately think the tread on his tires, and I think the young, surging, and just really well-rounded Brazilian heavyweight here, this freak of nature, Jailton Almeida, I think he does come make a statement this weekend. And man, just even more excitement in this heavyweight division. Might be one of my new favorite divisions. As the more I think about it, we have all these names. John Jones is up there now. Aspinall was just announced. Not to get too sidetracked, but man, this is gonna be a big one. What do you think, brother?
This is definitely going to be a great one. Thanks for teeing it up for me there, brother. I appreciate it. So jumping into this one, we got Jairzinho Rozenstruik going up against Jailton Almeida. Jailton Almeida has looked to not only be a juggernaut of the division, but one that is seemingly invincible. Nobody seems to have an answer for this guy. The only time Jailton was knocked out was back in 2017. That was a long time before he made it to the UFC, guys. And that was only 16 seconds into the first round. That's what we like to call a flash knockout. That happened back in 2017 at Katana Fight Gold Edition. What a fight name. And since his second loss, which came after that, he's racked up a 13-fight win streak. None of his fights make it to decision that he wins. He has 11 submissions, 7 knockouts, and he faces a knockout machine in Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who either gets the knockout or goes down trying. Jairzinho Rozenstruik has never been submitted, and that's worth noting. But something else worth noting is there's a first time for everything, and I think we might see that happen for the first time in his whole career on Saturday. I think Almeida gets the sub or the knockout pretty early on, probably in the first round and a half of the fight. I don't see it going very long at all. Definitely not more than 2 rounds. That being said, a little fun fact for you guys. If Jairzinho Rozenstruik is able to land more than 5 strikes, he will have outperformed all of Jailton Almeida's UFC opponents combined were able to. Like, that's insane. The man has had...
Let that marinate a little bit there. What?
If he lands 5 strikes, he will have landed more strikes on all of Jailton Almeida's previous UFC opponents combined, folks.
Golly.
So, like, I know people were treating Khamzat Chimaev like the absolute freaking boogeyman because...
That's the last guy to do it, huh?
He absorbed, what, 2 strikes in 3 fights?
He had
this
a
guy
stretch where
had
he
two,
just...
2 fights where he absorbed 0.
What the heck? That's Khabib-esque, man. I love that.
Heavyweight, dude. Like, that's wild.
I mean, and it makes sense when you watch him, man. He is so athletic. He's surgical. Technically, he's surgical. He's smart. Everything. He's no wasted movement. And when he puts his hands on you, I mean, his fists or he gets a grip of you, I mean, he tends to have his way. You know,
he's this new age of heavyweight that can be 30 pounds less than you, but he'll make it seem like he's an absolute monster of men sitting in front of you. It's insane what the man's able to do. His speed, his finesse.
Hey, don't sweat the technique, right? Doesn't matter. 30 pounds, 100 pounds, man. If I got the technique on you, come on. I got a chance.
Dude, I'm very, very high on Jailton Almeida. And
only 31 years old.
Yeah, very young, very young. He's just coming into his fight prime, in my opinion. And man, he's one of those guys that could end up really running the heavyweight division for quite some time, in my honest opinion.
Well, I'll tell you what, if not to get too ahead of it, but if he ends up winning and he does it in dominant fashion, there are some fun names at the top of that division. Anybody, right? I mean, anybody. Some of the older guys, Derek Lewis, Tua Tuivasa, or again, any of these new guys. I mean,
if Tom Aspinall has a really solid performance in his first fight back after these surgeries, I think him versus Jailton Almeida would be an absolute fan delight. It's hype train versus hype train there. It'd be fantastic to watch. Both guys are brilliant at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, there's just so many great things about that.
Well, I mean, all of a sudden, there's all these names now in the heavyweight division. When was the last time we were able to say that?
It's been quite some time. It has been quite some time. It's been quite some time since we've had that many contenders in the heavyweight division. It seemed somewhat stagnant, in my opinion. You know, you had your top 5 that were just kind of trading off. Nobody could rack up consistent title defenses, but here we are. I think that's somebody that might actually be able to do it and do it in very impressive fashion. So agreed. I think we're both high on Jailton Almeida in that one. Obviously, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, he's a knockout machine, like I mentioned. He always has a puncher's chance. But
he does.
Moving into the next fight, we have Anthony Smith versus Johnny Walker. I'll go ahead and take the lead on this one.
Please do.
Because I think you're going to have more fire to add to this, or more fuel to add to this fire, so to speak, than I will. So, jumping into Anthony Smith versus Johnny Walker. This one it's a very interesting fight, okay? I don't know who wins this fight, but I hope it's competitive and that nobody loses any teeth or that nobody breaks any arms in the post-celebration dance that they decide to do. Looking at you, Johnny Walker. All jokes aside, this is a very weird yet interesting fight. Both men have been thought to be champion caliber in the past, but have substantially fallen short in recent years. And both are sitting at 2-1 in their last 3, which is also an interesting factor coming into this. In my opinion, this looks to be a battle of who's still top 5 material. One man will prevail. One man will possibly end up losing their job. I'm not quite sure who's going to walk away with their hand raised, being completely honest. This is an interesting one from a stylistic standpoint. Johnny Walker has really, really crazy pop to his movements. He has nice little flying knees that he throws in. Very unpredictable. Anthony Smith is like a creative fighter. If you like put all of the stats at the same area, you know what I mean? Like very well-rounded from start to finish. He's a decent grappler. He's a decent striker. He's got decent power, but he's not stopping anybody with one-shot power the way that his opponent is. He's not world-classing anybody in the grappling factors the way that, you know, like a Khabib would be. And he's definitely not outpacing people the way that Dustin Poirier and other people do with their pressure. So again, he's a very well-rounded fighter, but he's not necessarily somebody that's a master of any specific realm. That being said, if you put a gun to my head and told me to make a pick, I would probably end up siding with Anthony Smith, just because I feel like Johnny Walker has been more inconsistent in his entirety of his career. Anthony Smith, I feel like when he does have a decent camp, when he takes things seriously, he is a very, very competitive fighter, and he does have a lot of different tools in the bag and paths to victory, so to speak. Those are my thoughts. What do you think, Nano?
All right. I like your thoughts, man. I like them, but I don't fully agree, man. And I'll tell you why. But let me paint the picture here. This is a fun fight. Honestly, I think this could maybe even be another fight night main event. So it's a great co-main event. This is a great card, y'all. Don't sleep on this one. There's some fun videos on YouTube as well to check out that the UFC did on these two fighters in terms of like the build-up, you know, kind of like a UFC countdown-esque. But man, we have two talented guys here in the light heavyweight division. I'll start with Johnny Walker. Man, coming off a loss back in February of 2022 to the current light heavyweight champion Jamal Hill. Well, that was his last loss, I should say. He's has a couple wins since then. But man, that knockout was really bad. And before that, you know, you talk about inconsistencies. Before that, when Johnny Walker was initially on his hype train, he was young, he was fun, he was doing the worm and hurting himself. And then he got starched by Corey Anderson before that, right? We've gotten a chance to see Johnny Walker grow up in the octagon, got a chance to see him grow in his UFC career as a person. I think that's a big deal. Dude's met his wife. She's Irish, and through that connection, him going out there to Ireland, he now met who might have been the blessing in disguise, Coach Kavanaugh, John Kavanaugh. Y'all might be familiar, Coach McGregor's coach. But that's a great coach, a great partnership, I believe. Hearing some more of that, Coach Kavanaugh, I was really excited to see a guy like Johnny Walker walk into his gym. And since they've been training together, he's stacked some notable wins over I don't want to say top contenders, but notable contenders in Ian Kudalaba and Paul Craig, our boy. And those fights, he looked darn good, right? It was shades of that young, up and coming fun prospect that we saw. Man, this might have been maybe 6-7 years ago, right? I think it was back in our Yelp days. We were drinking Johnny Walker, excited about Johnny Walker, talking about him as the next guy to contend against John Bones Jones. And he actually fought on the same fight card that our boy Anthony Smith was fighting John Jones at the time. Crazy to see where their careers have gone and everything else since then. But all things considered, you know, staying with Johnny real quick here. I mean, man, his size, I think if he stays focused for those 15 to 25 minutes, I do think he'll finally live up to that hype he had early in his career. I think he has all the makings to be a champion in Johnny Walker. Now with Anthony Smith, he's Lionheart. Love him. Never going to count him out. Always has a fighter's chance. But I do feel that the size that Johnny Walker possesses, the reach, the heavy hands, the explosion, I think that will give him a problem, especially if he comes in smart, calculated, isn't doing all these antics. You know, again, Anthony's a crafty guy, like you mentioned. Only he's a jack of all trades, but he's a master of none. And that's just the facts here. He's getting older. He's more beat up. He was the backup for, I believe, the last title fight, correct? And I don't even think he made weight. I think he actually looked a little bad during that cut. And hey, we're in
Anthony Smith missed weight for the backup slot.
And I don't think he looked good either. I remember thinking, it's not ideal. He's getting older. Those cuts are bad for you. You're putting your body through more. But is he getting better? Is he, I can say that for Johnny. I know, hey, he's shown that he's made improvements. I think we're going to see the best version of him. I don't think I can say that with Anthony. I think he's kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He's super involved in his podcasting, his YouTubes, his analyst life, the UFC, ESPN. Like, the man's busy. I hate using that against him, but I just think the reality is, like, if I had to pick, it's a pick 'em for me. But if I had to lean somewhere, I think I'm leaning Johnny. I think I'm leaning towards the talented, the younger guy who just needed that focus, needed the right pairing, needed the right mentorship. And I think with Coach Kavanaugh, I think he can make a run, man. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I definitely. It's not that I don't think he's capable of it. I just haven't seen the right things from him recently. Even since making the switch to Kavanaugh, he's been pretty inconsistent in my opinion. He does have more wins than losses since switching over to Kavanaugh, but again, he hasn't shown me enough to put any steam behind him or really any belief behind him.
I feel that he's got to prove it, right? I mean, that Paul Craig fight was super quick. Kudalaba as well, similar. He hasn't been battle tested yet, I'll say, and that's why again he needs to fight smart and stick to the game plan for 15 or 25 minutes, whatever it is. If he throws caution to the wind or does what he did against Jamal or Corey, like Anthony can, I don't know, if maybe he can knock him out. He could definitely hurt him and just landslide maybe a decision win over him or submit him if he gets him down.
Yeah.
So it's a fun one, man.
It's a fun one. It's a very interesting stylistic one. Like, it's the best way to describe this one is it just feels like a weird matchup, man. I'm not mad about it. I'm happy to watch it. I think it's going to be a great competitive match. It's just, it feels weird stylistically. It's a crafty veteran going in against a very unpredictable up and comer, in my opinion. And I feel like he's been an up and comer for like 5-6 years now.
That's the thing. He was so young. A lot of these guys, right? We see him grow up in the octagon, and it's like, man. Yeah, he's still only 31 years old. Like, physically speaking, he's still in his prime,
Still a kid. Yeah, he's still very young.
Still a kid, man. Still a kid. And I think a lot of that maturing, the worm, never forget him freaking tearing his shoulder from doing the worm, celebrating. Like, oh my gosh. Like,
tragic.
Oh, just, man. Yeah. Hopefully, I think just turning a new leaf here and putting his big boy pants on.
Yeah, man. It's just absolutely tragic. Tragic seeing him tear his shoulder doing the freaking worm. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Come on with a better dance with the worm. Come on, man.
Come on, the worm. What are you doing?
What are we doing?
What are you doing? So jumping into the next one, we have one that I'm pretty damn excited about here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fight fans of all ages. Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez going in against Ian, the future Gary. I think you're pretty juiced about this one too, man. You want to lead this one off?
We can go back and forth there. I'll lead it off here, and you can bring us on home. But this is a fun one, man. I'm curious to hear what you have to say here. I think our picks later will determine how you both feel about it. But this is a fun matchup. Two contenders here in the welterweight division. Two guys that have really built some steam, like you said, to their name. Most specifically here, we got Ian Gary. Oh, and I need to mention, this is the battle for number 15, man. This is for number 15. We got rankings on the line, man. I love that. Ian Gary's been talking about this for years. This is something, again, he's so young still, at like 25 years old, 25 years young. But this is something that I know he's been looking forward to for a long time. And I know this is something that Daniel Rodriguez has earned up until this point in his career. I'll admit, Ian Gary, although got a win in his last performance against Song Kanan, there were some holes in his game. He did get rocked a couple times, almost got KO'd. But I do think his striking is just a bit more superior to that of Daniel Rodriguez's, a bit more well-rounded with the leg strikes, with the clinch, with the knees. And I think he's just kind of the bigger guy, bigger frame, longer reach. So I think all those things will play a factor here. Will his youth, will his pace, his stamina be, used in the right ways throughout the fight and be able to allow him to edge out a victory over Daniel Rodriguez? We'll have to see. Because Daniel Rodriguez, man, he's a tough dude. He's a tough son of a gun. He's a southpaw, like a heavy boxing style, but he's willing to sit in the pocket and take one to get one. And, you got to respect it. When he puts his hands on you, dudes get rocked. He has a 17-3 record. He's gone to decision 7 times. That was one thing that stood out to me, but he does have 8 KOs on his record. I expect this to be 15 minutes of striking, but I do think Ian Gary can edge it out if he's smart, using the legs. Big stakes, man. Number 15. Who's got what it takes? I love this. We'll find out, man. But yeah, I'm leaning Ian Gary here. But Daniel Rodriguez can put something together, and Ian can get hurt, man. You never know. How are you feeling about it?
Well, I'm pretty damn excited about it. I can tell you that. I think this is going to be one for the ages, man. This Ian, the future Gary guy, really is high on himself, and I'm not convinced. So we got Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez, though slightly older at this point in his MMA career at 36 years of age, still carries heavy hands and major knockout power, in my humble opinion. Pair that with the inexperience of a 25-year-old Ian the future Gary, as well as the fact that, again, in my humble opinion, he is notoriously a hittable fighter who constantly leaves his head on the center line, making him, again, very, very hittable for his opponents. I think we might see ourselves a good old-fashioned D-Rod knockout on Saturday night, or actually Saturday morning, since the prelim started 8:30 a.m. here on the West Coast. Again, I just think that D-Rod has the better, well-rounded game here, the better kind of fundamentals. Ian is faster. Ian does probably have the, he obviously has the spring chicken youth on his side. He's 25 years old going in there against a 36-year-old man. But I think we're going to see a lot of veteranship be shown from D-Rod. I think D-Rod's going to end up getting the finish probably in the first 2 rounds. Yeah, I think he ends up getting it done. I think he gets the finish quick. And, why the hell not? I've seen Ian Gary leave his head on the center line and get clipped in the first round against people with lesser striking and almost get finished. And with someone like D-Rod who smells blood in the water and an extra $50K on the line, I think that man's going to go out there and he's going to hunt for a finish against somebody like an Ian Gary.
Brother, it's hard to defend my boy Ian Gary. He's no Tank Davis out there bobbing and weaving. I gotta admit, he gets hit, But Daniel Rodriguez, I've seen him
on the same spot.
It does, man. It does. And Daniel's got a chin on him as well. Yeah, I gotta give him props. But I've seen him be hittable.
Miss Mary is coming in with the fire here. Gary has dropped 3 of his 4 opponents. He can get hit and keep going. That's a fact. That's actually a fact. He has dropped 3 out of his 4 last opponents. And the man has heavy hands. Like, make no mistake. It's not that I don't think. Oh, let's see what Miss Mary said in the chat here. Picking sides based on tattoos again, so rooting against D-Rod.
Oh no.
So fun fact for any new listeners, since the beginning of us doing the private DraftKings, Miss Mary 616 has dusted us so many times. And This is before she had even ever watched UFC. She was only basing it based off of watching the weigh-ins and picking the guy who had less douchey tattoos or less shitty tattoos. So I guess we're back to our old ways. And she says, I used to make money when I bet that way. You did. You used to win quite a bit whenever you'd bet that way. So definitely go back to that. I think it's a solid way. Maybe I'll start hitting up Miss Mary 616 for my parlays for bet versus bet.
There we go. Not a bad idea. Hey, that tattoos. The more I think about it, the more it's like, well, prove me wrong, unless otherwise proven. I think that seems legit.
She has a science. It's honestly proven,
It's merely science. That's the mathematics.
Mary tested, money approved. So obviously your shot's going to be on Ian Machado Gary. My shot's going to be on Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez. I think he gets it done. And we're going to jump into the next one here. We're going over Tim Means versus Alex Morono. I can go ahead and take the lead on this one. So Tim Means versus Alex Morono. Speaking of style versus style, this is definitely a great example of style versus style fights, in my humble opinion. On one side, you have Tim Means, the scrappy veteran who's willing to take some shots to land his own, to Miss Mary 616's point about Ian Machado Gary. He is willing to enter the fire to land his own damage, and he wants to knock you out with any and every chance the man gets. Tim means business. They don't call him the Dirty Bird for nothing. On the other side, you have Alex Morono, a man who looks like Gotham City's very own Victor Zsasz, and fights equally as cerebral as the Batman villain. He's constantly looking for holes in your game and ways to poke into those holes, penetrate your defense, destroy your guard, and your morale and mentality. The thing is, he's looking for ways to take you out while absorbing as little damage as possible. Morono has been knocked out in his most recent fight against Santiago Ponzinibbio, which is not a great look, considering Tim Means does have that knockout power. More of his fights than not have ended in knockout by his hands. That being said, I don't know that Tim Means will be able to create the same opportunities or damage against Alex Morono. And honestly, I think as long as Alex stays poised and fights in a cerebral way that we've seen him fight recently, he should win this fight via submission or decision. I don't think it's going to be a very quick or easy fight for him. I do hope he packed a lunch because it's not going to be made easy for him by Tim the Dirty Bird Means. But I think it's going to be a hell of a fight for us fans, and I am looking forward to it.
I love that, man. That's a great analysis. No, this is a fun one too, man. Yeah, Tim, you know what I means, man. He's a long, awkward fighter at his best. He's beat Mike Perry in a striking match. That was a fun one. Kind of kept him out on that long jab, some sneaky elbows and knees in there. But then at his worst, you know, he's getting submitted by Kevin Holland, which again, submitted by Kevin Holland. I mean, I don't know about that one. That's something you don't hear every day. Although I do respect his ground game. I mean, if you're robbing something, don't want to be in front of Kevin. But at age 39, you know, Tim Means he's got some tread on the tire. I mean, I'm curious to know how much tread is left on the tires. I think it's gonna be a big factor here. So he is going up against a gamer in Alex Morono. Tough kid, man. He was willing to take a fight on short notice against Santiago Ponzinibbio. And until he got finished in that fight, he looked really darn good. I give the man props. I do feel that that earned some stock in my book. And then just kind of watching the tape a little bit more, you see Alex getting a notable win over Cowboy Cerrone, his ability to mix up his strikes, you know, southpaw, switch stances, throw the knees in there, let him swing and bang. I mean, I was really impressed with what I saw from Alex. And again, he's a gamer, willing to take fights on short notice, look good and perform. I think that's the difference. I'm taking the youth. I'm taking my boy Morono Foshoto to beat our boy Timmy Means. And that means no disrespect.
I love loving all the puns, loving all the name puns here. Yeah, I think Morono gets it done, man. I just think he's, I don't want to say he's a smarter fighter, but he definitely utilizes his fight IQ a little bit more often than Tim Means does. Like I said, nothing against Tim Means. He's a dog. He's a dirty bird. You know, he's in there. He's getting dirty with it. He's getting nasty with it. And he's one of those guys that's willing to eat shots to land his own. I don't think it's going to pay off going in against someone as smart and well-rounded as Alex Morono. Moving into this next fight, we have two more fights to go over here. We got Matt Brown coming in against Court McGee. Do you want to lead this one, or you want me to lead this one?
I'll throw my 2 cents in. I'm sure you'll have plenty to extra color to add to it. But, you know, again, man, a tale of an old bull versus, well, kind of another old bull. Matt Brown here, 42 years old. Don't let the age fool you. He's like a Tom Brady out there. Still looked good. Was able to take a Brian Barberena to distance. Still lost the fight. But ultimately, man, Matt Brown's a gamer. He's gritty. He's well-balanced with 15 KOs, 6 submissions. What stood out to me is he has been submitted 10 times. He has a 23-19 record. It's close to 500. A little bit of a journeyman. I mean that respectfully. But I do like this game. I do like his ability to kind of stay within himself. You know, had this kind of like turtle back shell stance. And Matt Brown's never in a boring fight. So going up against Court the Crusher McGee, great name. Only 4 years the elder, still, you know, 38 years old. So I think tit for tat, they're on an even playing field there. But simply put, man, you know, Court McGee, don't know too much about him. I felt like he looked a bit flat-footed, maybe a little bit of a step slower in some of his exchanges and some of the losses he's had most recently. But I don't anticipate that being a problem here. I do think it'll boil down to, like you kind of mentioned last fight, hey, what are the fight smarts, the IQ in the octagon, being able to keep his opponent Matt away, stay away from that right hand, avoid those takedowns. You know, maybe Court McGee can edge out the W. But curious to hear your thoughts on, brother. What do you think about this one?
Well, in this one, I'm gonna jump in. We gotta address the elephant in the room here. The elephant known as Andrew here. Whatever you do, don't pick Olin's guys. You know,
oh, from the top rope.
I can't say he's wrong there. He said, "I'm in more debt because of Olin than my student loans." My God!
Oh no!
Get out of here with that shit.
Boy, I oughta.
Jumping into Matt Brown versus Court McGee. Talk about a battle of two absolute legends. Matt the Immortal Brown coming in against Court the Crusher McGee, with Court making his UFC debut all the way back in 2010, and his opponent Matt Brown having made his all the way back in 2007. These two men have a combined 29 years of UFC experience between the two of them. This fight promises to be an absolute banger and a hell of a fun fight, guys. To be completely honest, from a betting standpoint, this should be a pick'em, in my opinion, because either man has just as many tools and paths to victory in this one. With somewhat similar ups and downs in their resume, these two will likely be laying it all on the line on Saturday night. Court is 2-2 in his last 4 bouts, while Brown is sadly 1-3. And you've got to think that these men are basically fighting for a job this weekend on Saturday. I personally just hope that we get a really great fight between two legends of the sport. But as a betting man, and that's what we do here, we make picks and bets. If I had to place a bet on it, I'd be betting on Court the Crusher McGee. I think he's going to get it done. I think he's got a little bit more tread on or a little bit less tread on the tires throughout his years in the UFC. Again, he's been here for 3 years less. He's had significantly less fights overall than Matt Brown. And again, I just think that, just like Mary said, this one is a toss-up. It's a major toss-up. But if I have to bet, I'm going to choose Court McGee on this one.
Yeah, I think I'll go the young gun. Again, stylistically, it's a fun one. Both guys have a chance. Both have multiple paths to victory. I'll go Court the Crusher McGee. Maybe just on the name itself.
The Crusher. Love Court McGee, dude. He's super fun. I remember I used to pick him as a character to play with on UFC Undisputed 3.
Here we go. Undisputed, yeah.
That's old days, bro.
Let's go.
So jumping into the last fight we're going to talk about on this one before we go into our bets this week in Bet versus Bet. I'll go ahead and lead this next one off. We got Brian Battle, a.k.a. Pooh Bear, going in against Gabe Green, gifted Gabe Green. One man coming off of a loss to Ian Gary, the other coming off of a loss to Hinat Fakhretdinov. Each loss coming in a very, very different way. One by way of absolute masterclass of grappling, and the other by way of somewhat back and forth traffic, mainly being edged out by Ian Gary, showcasing that he was the better man at keeping the distance and leading the dance in the end. This one's very interesting in my opinion, but I think Brian Battle will be able to pull this one out and get back into the win column. Ian Gary also went 1 for 2 on takedowns over Gabe Green, and this leads me to believe that Brian Battle will be able to do the same. You've got to think that Brian had a very, very grappling-heavy camp following such a grapple-heavy loss to Hinat Fakhretdinov. So I'm thinking he's going to come in here a little bit more well-rounded, a little bit sharper around the edges, and I think he's going to be able to piece up our guy Gabe Green, and it's going to be a tough night at the office for Gabe, in my honest opinion.
Wouldn't argue with that. I think Gabe Green, man, if I've learned anything, like you said, from that fight with Ian Gary, dude's got his freaking boots strapped and his lunch pail. He's ready to go to the office, man. Put in a solid 12-hour workday. This is a fun one, you know. I'll start there with Gabe Gifted Green. Dude's a tough son of a gun. Iron chin. Took Ian Gary to decision. Did lose to Daniel Rodriguez. But overall, I think as a fighter, stylistically, he's tough. He's strong. Little jam-packed looking, tough little bowling ball here. Lands 2 more strikes per minute than the opponent. And he also, I feel like, tends to throw punches and bunches when he's working on that finish. He'll just let him rip and really dig in. Also, you know, can he deal with the forward reach advantage? You know, like you mentioned, it's going to be a hard day in the office. Brian Pooh Bear, don't let the name fool you. The man was on a 7-5 win streak before losing back in December. I felt like he had really good head movement, used his feints really well, had some crazy finishes, some fun ones to watch. Coming from the Ultimate Fighter series, you know, I think a W over Gabe Green would be huge for him if he could go out there and do it decisively. Brian Battle is a more accurate fighter, so can he be calculated? You know, can he use that distance? You know, use the legs and all of that. we'll have to wait and see. But man, Gabe Green is a tough cookie, man. He's a tough guy to put away. I think it'll go to decision. Maybe Battle can edge it out here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it went to decision in this one. Both of these guys are very, very game, very, very tough. Just like Miss Mary said, their builds are so different. They don't look like they belong in the same weight class if you just like look at them build wise and probably height wise too. I don't know what the height difference is, but I'd imagine it's pretty significant.
It's only 2 inches. They have Gabe Green at 5'10", but that might be like a Hollywood 5'10" kind of thing. And then Brian Battle being 6'1", with the hair a little bit longer there.
Well, he actually shaved his head after that last loss.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. He did. And it's not only Brian Battle is taller, but he's actually got less reach. Gabe Green has got a hell of an ape index, a 73-inch reach. Oh, just kidding. I read that wrong. No. It's a significant reach advantage for Brian Battle. Ignore everything I just said. I can't read.
Off the record.
No, it's a 77-inch reach for Brian Battle, for 73 inches for Gabe Green. And yeah, they're both young guys, 28 versus 30 years old. Both guys have a lot to gain from this type of fight and this type of win over one another. Again, if I have to side one which way, I'm going Brian Battle all day. I think he gets it done over Gabe Green. Gabe Green did look impressive in his fight over Ian Gary, but not quite impressive enough. And honestly, I just think that the tough alum, Brian Battle, Pooh Bear, is going to get it done. Let's see what JJ Smoke has to add. It's hard to pick Battle because he was destroyed in his last fight. He showed some Darren Till takedown defense.
Ouch. Oh, man.
Darren Till takedown defense. So I don't know if you heard my breakdown on this, JJ, but my thing is Ian Gary is not a significantly great grappler, and he was able to go 1 for 2 on takedowns over Gabe Green. Brian Battle is a pretty decent grappler, or at least he was before that Hinat Fakhretinov fight. And I got to think after that significant masterclass of grappling over him in the Hinat fight, he probably had a very, very grappling heavy camp for this one. That being said, I would assume he's going to come down with a wrestling approach himself and probably try to smother Gabe Green early on. Let's see if that ages like milk.
Yeah, keep us honest. Yeah, what's up, JJ? Nice to see you again, man. But yeah, I think Brian Battle, man, he was against Tresean Gore, I believe, in the Ultimate Fighter. Another good fight. Kind of displayed his heart, his ability to, deal with someone with that kind of build, a little bit more stocky, compact. I think he finds a way. I think he'll find a way to get it done.
I think so. Well, with that being said, we are going to go ahead and jump into a little bet versus bet. Right, so we got a little bet versus bet. Good times coming here. Let's go ahead and get some intense music.
Oh, yes, here we go.
We can get this figured out here. So we are going into this week. We have my picks are going to be 2 units to win 37.5. Nano's picks are going to be 3 units to win 31.
Here we
I'm
go.
going a little bit more aggressive. He's going a little bit more conservative. He's betting more units. I'm betting less units. How will it all turn out? Find out on the next episode of the No Filter Podcast.
Here we go.
Nano, tell us about the picks.
Come on. Starting on the left side here. Like you said, a couple more unis, a little less to pay out, but, we're just tapping it on in. We're tapping it on in. Big parlay guy. I'm going to stick with our theme here, coming from the KOP. I'm sticking to my roots, man. I like my parlays. I feel good about it, okay? Finding some good odds. I'm going to start with my boy Cody Stamann. We didn't really dive into this fight too much. But Cody Stamann, he's a dog, okay? He's someone that has been around the block for a long time, 33 years old. But, man, he's fought the who's who's. I'm just going to list off a couple of guys he's fought here. Aljamain Sterling, okay? We're talking about the champ. Yadong Song, okay? Brian Kelleher, Mirab, Deersvili. Oh, gosh, I said that horribly. Excuse me. Saeed Nurmagomedov.
Have you been watching Chael Sonnen videos?
No,
D. Chevali.
DJ Marie, whatever the hell it is. No, all jokes aside, Mirab, beast. Saeed Nurmagomedov, Eddie Wineland. He's been in there with the who's who's, and he's coming off 2 wins. He's going to find a way to get it done. I don't know how. Not going to chase the money too much there. because I will admit this guy Douglas Silva de Andrade, man, his last fight against Said Nurmagomedov was pretty impressive, but Cody's going to get it done. Mark my words. On top of that, we talked about our boy Alex Morono. The great white man, he's going to get it done. He's my great white shark here, going to help me bring in 4 unis here off my 1 unit bet. I just think he's going to find a way to get it done. And the one thing that stood out here, Tim Means has been to, let me pull up, it's 14 decisions. Let me correct myself here. You know, I do see that there's a video on YouTube. Alex Morono was talking about how he feels that this is going to be a tough 15 minutes. That gives me even more inclination that nobody's going to get put away here. The Dirty Bird's going to find a way to squeeze out. Let's see. So yeah, 14 decisions in Tim Means' career. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers here, man. Okay, you just look at the numbers, look at the styles, take that one to the bank, feel good about it. Right hand side, okay. A little bit of a stretch, but I feel pretty damn good. Okay, we got Jailton Almeida, dog. He's gonna go out there and put some hands on Rosenstruck. Oh, I'm horrible today. But
Jairzinho,
Jairzinho, thank you, Jairzinho. I'm thinking I just can't picture anything else in that Ngannou fight. I think Joust is gonna have his Ngannou moment here. He's gonna put him out early, maybe in the first minute, punches and bunches. It's gonna be over quick, and he's gonna have a path to the top of the freaking heavyweight division here. Over under. I think over for this Anthony Smith versus Johnny Walker fight, man. I'll tell you what, I respect both these guys too much. Anthony Smith, dog. Johnny Walker, dog. Theme of today, dogs. But no, all jokes aside, it's a match of 2 legit contenders. I don't think anyone's gonna get put away early. If anything, maybe someone will gas out towards the end. This fight is in Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. Are they in some elevation here? Please correct me if I'm wrong. But again, I do think that hard to pick a person in that fight, but I do believe that it will go over 1.5 rounds. Probably go the distance, in my opinion. And then last but certainly not least, Ian Machado, Gary, the future has arrived. Number 15 is going to my boy. We're going to disagree here. I don't want to hear it from the peanut gallery over there. That's why we're betting against each other now. But no, I just think he'll find a way to win a decision here. Daniel Rodriguez is not someone known to be KO'd. He's actually never been KO'd. He's only been submitted or gone to decision twice in his losses. I think that's going to be the theme here. Ian by decision. Well, chasing the odds. Feel good about it. Love the payout. Go big or go home. Let's go. Oh, JJ. Okay. Fair enough.
I think it's in Charlotte, North Carolina. I could be wrong. Dog. It's a dog. So, jumping into my picks now. And Emiliano, I'll give you a pat on the back. You know, I'm not against it. I'm not mad about it. Let's see what JJ Smoke had to say before I jump into mine. The odds are disrespectful to Biggie Boy. He has a big chance of beating Almeida. I agree. I think he does have a puncher's chance of knocking him out. That being said, jumping into my picks. We have a 5-pick parlay. I'm going to start from the bottom for my boy JJ Smoke here. I got Jailton Almeida at -475. Couldn't pass it up. We got Daniel Rodriguez money line above that, +245. And then we got Alex Morono, -215. Nathan Levy coming in against Sneaky Pete Rodriguez, who in his few but exciting UFC fights has a average strikes per minute landed average of 10, but somehow has an absorbed average strikes per minute of 11. Chaos. That's all you can think of when you watch Sneaky Pete fight. That's why I think Nathan Levy is going to be smarter, more well-rounded, more crispy, and he's going to get the win. And then Brian Battle, I mean, the man's name is Battle. If you don't put that man on the parlay, come on, what are you even doing? Again, his name is Battle. You know he's going to put in a fight, and that's why I put him on the parlay. So that parlay is 1 unit, aka $5, to get you 92.62. Look at that. You love to see it. And then the next one, we're doubling down on our boy D-Rod in a big way here. I think he gets it done within the first 2 rounds. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. We're going to find out on Saturday night. 250 on the first round and 250 on the second round. That is 0.5 and 0.5 units at plus 1,600 odds and plus 2,000 odds. I'm thinking people might be just a little bit too hype on drinking the Ian Gary Kool-Aid. It's a rare Drew and Olin W for agreeing here. It's going to happen now, baby. The D-Rod for the win. So if he wins in the first round, your boy's turning 250 into 4,250. And if he wins in the second round, your boy's turning 250 into 5,250. Either way, your boy's going to hit at least one of those. And it's going to be a real good night at the office. And that, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, fight fans of all ages, shapes, and sizes, is how we're going to come out here and we are going to absolutely pelt the boy Jive Turkey Nano into submission this Saturday.
Why you got to do me like that, man?
Let's go.
Man, you had a lot of conviction. You definitely won in terms of your presentation today. Tip the hat there. I still got my other 2-pick parlay. I think both can win. And I think we both can win. You know what I mean? So with that in mind, I'll take it. But you know what?
Mystic Drew's onto something here. Don't like fighters with the future as a nickname. I mean, we all know what happened to Macy Barber.
Ooh.
Might as well call her the past these days.
Ouch.
Am I right?
It's not the present. Tell you that.
And also, Dubs and 7, Nano. Let's go. You love to see it. You love to see it. I hope T-Piz is tuning in. And if he's not, we'll have to clip this and send it to him. Dubs and 7.
Come on.
Dubs and 7. He was super sad that the Dubs beat the Kings. And you know he's going to be sad when the Dubs beat the Lakers in 7. Come on. So, let's get it, baby. I'm with Drew on that one. I'm with Drew on the D-Rod one. Let's see what JJ Smoke added here. We missed one. I think Gary is going to chop the lead leg that D-Rod is heavy on and just piece him up for 3 rounds. You know, there's a fat chance that you might not be wrong, my friend. But I just think that Ian Gary is very hittable, leaves his head on the center line, and D-Rod is very heavy-handed. The last thing to go is your power. First thing to go is your speed and stamina, right? I don't think he needs a 15 rounds worth of stamina. I think he just needs 8. I think he gets it done in maybe 8.5 minutes. And I think we're going to find that Ian Machado Gary is a really good fighter with really good things to work on.
Uh-oh. He's young. He's 25 years old, man. I mean, it's just the biggest fight of his life. Biggest fight of his career.
It is. It's arguably the biggest fight of his life. Man, it's going to be a really sneaky good fight card on Saturday, guys. I can feel it. This is going to be a really good one. I'm super stoked for it. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say I'm really shocked that this is a free fight card, but it makes sense, right? This is one that I believe they're going to air on ABC, and that's probably why they're doing it at 8:30 a.m. so they don't have to compete with the NBA games that are happening across the weekend. Or MLB, whatever other sports you normal people that watch big five sports watch.
Hockey. You know? Yeah. There's a lot.
All I watch is fighting, really. So, that and Nottingham Forest games whenever they are. We are playing on Saturday.
There we go. Another fight that we didn't really talk about is our boy Carlos Ulberg going in there against Ihor Potieria. That's going to be a fun one. I almost chased the odds on that one, but then I started watching Carlos's highlights again, and I was reminded, dude's a beast. He's ginormous.
Oh, you were gonna bet against Carlos?
I was, but I was like,
that's a tough
no,
fade.
That's tough.
That's a tough fade. Yeah,
dude's a beast.
Yeah, Carlos is hard to bet against, and Ihor is, I feel like, becoming equally as hard to bet against.
Yeah, well, that's where at first I was like, man, Ihor looks pretty good, and then I seen him get pieced up. Before Shogun? He lost to somebody, and I was like, okay, no, that was not ideal. Gotta pull it up.
Yeah, he lost to the Duelist, lost to Nicolay Nugumarianu. Nugumarianu's a beast, though.
He is, but Carlos Ulberg put him away pretty handedly. So
just to put it into perspective,
MMA math there.
I mean, before he beat and knocked out Ihor Potieria, he got a decision win over Kennedy and Chekwu. Kennedy and Chekwu's no scrub. Yeah. And the fact that, he beat Kennedy across 15 minutes, that's quite a bit, especially considering that was Kennedy's last loss in the UFC. Since then, he's gone on a 3-fight win streak, with 2 of those wins coming over Ion Kudalaba and Devin Clark. So, again,
good names.
Ihor's a pretty scary prospect, in my honest opinion. I I think he has a lot of paths to victory, if I'm being completely real with you.
Rivers just so darn big, dude. He's strong. I'm using my MMA math. He just beat Nikolai back in November. So.
Olbert's a scary dude. That's why I'm like, I didn't bet on this one. I don't think I will. Like, maybe on DraftKings. Not on DraftKings Sportsbook, but on like the DraftKings, I might throw him on my card. But
yeah, a little DK. Yeah,
I don't know what his price is on there. Yeah. So as usual, that's the show. We will be going live again post fight. I'm assuming on a Sunday or a Monday. And yeah, we hope to see all you guys there again.
It is Mother's Day this Sunday. So
it is Mother's Day this Sunday. So probably not Sunday. Say hi to your mother for me. Probably Monday. Actually, no, it's not going to be Monday. God dang it. It's not going to be Monday. I have a big sales thing.
There we go. My guy.
Company wide. Yeah, it's a company wide organization thing. And that's going to be consuming my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So no Wednesday episode. Maybe we do a Thursday episode, and maybe we'll figure out what time we can go live on Sunday before Mother's or before whatever. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
See, I'll be in Mexico, so if you're okay with maybe some michis in my hand and some tacos.
Gotta get you a little to-go lapel mic. Gotta get you a fork mic, bro.
I do need to get one. Maybe I'll pack this. We'll see. We'll see what it's like. Come on. Sounds good.
You're right about it.
Right. Yes, sir.
Awesome, guys. Well, as usual, we appreciate you stopping by and being here for the episode. We look forward to seeing you next episode, and whenever it may be, whether it's Sunday in Mexico or Monday or however we end up doing it. Either way, we will figure it the hell out. I'm super stoked for it. We are super stoked to see you guys in the next episode. And coming up at the end of the month, we are going to be doing post-fight shows, or rather post-episode shows, following the episodes for Tough with Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. We're going to be doing those directly following the episode wrapping. I would assume like within the first 10 minutes after the episode wraps. Hoping to get at least me and Nano on there. And probably going to get Jalen, Drew, maybe even T-Piz kind of siphoning in and out of the episodes each week as we go. So again, if you're new here, if you're returning, if you haven't done it already, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and smash that bell for notifications. And we will see you here next time. Same place. Later, guys.
Let's go.